Hello students, today we will discuss the poem From an Essay on Man, written by 18th century neoclassical poet Alexander Pope. This poem in our syllabus is a part of a long argumentative poem, an essay on man. This long poem, an essay on man, it consists of some 1300 lines which are structured in 4 epistles, and the lines in our syllabus are found in the second epistle. Now, what is epistle? Epistle is poetry written in the form of letters, and this long poem has been dedicated and written addressing to his guide, philosopher and friend Bolingbroke. And the poem in our syllabus, the lines taken from second epistle of this long poem deals with the contradictions and paradoxes of man's nature and condition. Know then thyself, presume not God to scan, the proper study of mankind is man. The poem seems to have an abrupt beginning because it is a part of a longer poem, and to better understand its meaning we have to first look at what went before, that is first epistle. In the first epistle of this longer poem, the poet Pope presents the philosophy that whatever is right, means everything happens according to God's plan, according to God's divine design. So everything happens for the best, and man cannot understand or comprehend it because man is only a part of it. Man is only a component of that bigger plan, God's plan, divine design, and man does not possess the intellect, that capability which can comprehend God's order. Now, this order is a vast chain of being in which God's all creations have a place, and man's place in this chain is below the angels but above birds and beasts. So man's place in this vast order is somewhere in between. He is not above God, so he cannot understand or comprehend God's design. Although science has given men the tools and power to understand God's creations, but this power makes him, intoxicating power makes men assume the role of God. And here in these lines, the poet seems to criticize man's misunderstanding that he is the Lord of everything in this universe. That's why he says, know then thyself. Know then thyself, presume not God to scan, the proper study of mankind is man. That man should try to study his own self, his own kind, and he should not believe that he can study, he can examine, he can study God, because it is beyond his experience, it is outside his experience. The proper study of mankind is man. The appropriate subject for man to study is his own kind, his own self. Thus, the poet here wants to say that man should not interfere into God's affairs, rather he should study himself. Man should study himself especially his nature, his powers, limits, and all the weaknesses that he has. The poet further says, placed on this isthmus of a middle state, as I told you earlier, that the place where the man is placed in this vast chain of being, in this vast order, he is somewhere in between. In this hierarchical chain, he is below the angels and above birds and beasts. So he cannot comprehend everything that is beyond his experience. Placed on this isthmus of a middle state. Isthmus is a long strip of land joining two larger pieces of lands. Now man's situation is like between two extremities. He is placed on an isthmus. He is placed on a middle state. He is sitting between two extremities. A being darkly wise and rudely great. Now the poet point out the contradictory behavior and faculties of man. He says man is a being who is darkly wise and rudely great. Here the poet has put two contradictory words against each other to point out this contradictory behavior of human being. He says man is darkly wise. Man is wise, but not completely. He has an element or a side of ignorance, darkness as well. And rudely great. Man is great, but not perfectly great. He can be at times rough and irregular in his nature. Thus, we can say that man is not aware enough to be declared as truly wise. Neither man is perfect to be consistently great. He further says, with too much knowledge for the skeptic side, with too much weakness for the stoic's pride. These two are the schools of philosophy in ancient Greece, and skeptic they keep postponing judgment on things on the basis of lack of final knowledge. They believe that final knowledge of anything is not possible. And stoic, these are the people who value virtue over anything else. They believe in suffering, pain or difficulty without complaining. But men cannot be anything either of these, because with too much knowledge, because men possess enough knowledge that prevent him from being skeptic. And nor man can be a stoic altogether, as man is full of vices. He has too much weaknesses. He hangs between in doubt to act or rest, in doubt to deem himself a god or beast, in doubt his mind or body to prefer. The poet here says, not only by the God's design, God's order, man is placed on a middle state, but his nature too makes him a bundle of contradictory elements. He hangs between. He is somewhere between two extremities. He is indecisive. He have doubts to act or rest. He has doubt whether he should struggle to achieve more in his life, to aspire for more in his life, or rest, or he should lead a life of satisfaction. In doubt to deem himself a god, he has doubts to consider himself a god or a beast, because sometimes he exercises his divine qualities and sometimes he follows his wild beastly instincts. In doubt his mind or body to prefer, he has doubts whether he should give preference to the upliftment of mind's faculties, or he should enjoy physical pleasure. Born but to die, man takes birth, but he is destined to die, means man is not mortal. man is not immortal, man is mortal. मनुष्य मरने के लिए बना है. He takes birth but to die. This is a very famous, often quoted phrase from Alexander Pope's poetry. Man is born but to die, and reasoning but to err. He has got reason. God has made man above these beasts and bird. Man has given him the power of reasoning. He can think, he can rethink, but he is not completely devoid of making errors. So God has given him reasoning but to err. Thus man has got reasoning power, but by nature he is tend to make mistakes. Alike in ignorance his reason such, he remains equally ignorant, although his reason, he has been given a reasoning power, but he remains equally ignorant. Whether he thinks too little or too much, chaos of thought and passion, all confused. So man is an odd mixture of thought and passion. He is an odd bundle of intellect and passions, which are lying in confused manner, which can be seen confusing manner in his nature. So man is not regular in his behavior, still by himself abused or disabused. Man can abuse himself, man can ruin himself if he follows the call of passions, and he can rise above this weakness by following his intellect. Created half to rise and half to fall. The God has created man half to rise. He can partly overcome his circumstances and half to fall. And great Lord of all things, yet a prey to all. Man is the supreme creature created by God, great Lord. He can control many things, many elements of nature on this earth, yet he becomes a prey to all. Sometimes we see natural calamities which are not in our control. So here, though man has controlled many things, but here we feel helpless. Sole judge of truth in endless error hurled, the man is the only judge of truth he has been given reasoning power to judge the truth. Still, he is tend to make mistakes. He is thrown into endless error. Thus, man's situation is very complicated. The glory, jest, and riddle of the word. He is the glory, he is the pride of the word. He emerges as a glorious creature, a supreme creature in this world. Sometimes God seems to make fun of man's efforts, and in this way, man is a bundle of mysterious, contradictory faculties, and his true nature remains a mystery. That is why he has become a puzzle, a riddle of the world.